Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. I realized the volume was super high. Check, 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 check. I realized the volume was super high when I was listening back. I need to get a better mic stand too. It's all good. We will improve slowly but surely. Just give us 1 second. You know me, I don't have all the things set up before I push the button.
Just about at time. We got a minute left. I know.
The scammers are on the the kick. I'm done.
Hey, bro, have you seen this video? Dude, that.
Alright. I'm just making sure all of the channels are good. Alright. And getting the TikTok going. Sorry, I'm fixing the visual on Tiki. Okay. All right. Everything is good. I need to go mute the tabs real quick. I need to make sure that so I'm not getting notifications. There we go. Oh, YouTube. How could I forget? I think I see the YouTube chat though in the Omni chat. Yeah, I think I do. Yes. Big dub Bona, man. She doing great with this little advent calendar. I'm so engaged with this. All right, let's. Yes. Big dub Bona, man. Okay. She's doing great with this little advent calendar. I'm so engaged with this. Where was that feedback just now? Every time I get on here and just turn it on, it's a freaking learning experience. Okay, feedback's from YouTube. There we go. All right. Oh, let me put on D&D. That's important to learn that one. All right. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. All right, we should be good. Going live. Well, recording. We're already live. Recording in 3, 2. I'm going to restart the count. All right, 3, 2, 1. What is up, team? Welcome back to Headquarters. Your Antifa CEO here. I hope everyone is having a beautiful Wednesday, but we have to get right into something at the top of the show. Yesterday, I, on the pod, said some unfair things about Comrade Ojaw. And Comrade Ojaw, know that we've discussed it privately. However, whenever I said those things publicly, I think that it also warranted a public apology. With that being said, Comrade Ojaw, I am extremely sorry for how I mischaracterized you. And realistically, I was giving my honest opinion at the time. But what I have come to realize is that opinion is not, it's the farthest thing from the truth. I thought that Comrade Ojaw with 1 million followers would not take our group seriously. But what I've come to realize is, in all actuality, Comrade Ojaw is one of the ones who takes the group the most serious. It's actually quite inspirational. You know, the entire thing yesterday. But we'll get into that. But let's stick with the apology, Comrade Ojaw. I accept accountability for maybe not handling the situation the right way. My time is limited, and I'm getting on here, and I'm trying to do content. It's all a thing. So I didn't process it appropriately. We didn't process it appropriately because I aired it out, which I don't necessarily think that was the best thing once you brought that out. And the reason that I'm formally apologizing here now, again, like I said, is because I put it out in the public, and so I want to make sure to clear, you know, your name, at least from to the extent of what I said, because it was just what I thought, you know, was just, it was not reality. And I really appreciate you, Comrade Ojaw, especially not only for taking the time to reach back out, but for us being able to get this squared away. And realistically, the group is substantially stronger now. I don't think that people realize that. I think that this was something that in a way kind of needed to happen because we only lost one person. I think that's the craziest part about it is that, you know, in real time, you're seeing people dropping like flies, and you're like, man, you know, this is very upsetting. Like I said, it hit me right in the heart. It's my baby. It's something I've been working on for a while, but, you know, we only lost the troublemaker. which is something that needed to happen. It's just the way that I learned needs to happen is going to be a little different, and we're going to workshop exactly how we're going to be handling things like that in the future. Because I don't want to be a dictator for a day. I want to work for the people. I want to make sure that we're feeling fairly represented and all those things, especially in our inner circle. So yeah, I do appreciate you, Comrade Ojaw, of course. I appreciate everybody in the team. And this is actually going to be a very special pod episode because we have a scheduled guest from the team. I'm very excited about that. It's something that I hope to do to make sure that we all have access to every platform that's available to us, to try to make it as easy as possible, to make everyone's voice heard. Some people don't need as much help. Some people are out here doing it already, but those are the types of people that I like to talk to, and those are the people that I like to be around because I like to surround myself with smart, real, compassionate, empathetic people. And I think with this happening recently, it especially showed that that's exactly the people that we have, especially Comrade Ojaw, man. Big shout out to you. I really can't emphasize just, I mean, look, I feel dumb. I feel dumb for even thinking that the man wouldn't take it seriously. It's upsetting to me because it shows that let me put it this way. It just shows that I have a lot more to learn, and I'm willing to continue to do that learning. And I'm willing to, I'm willing to do what it takes. I'm willing to put the work in. I'm willing to take accountability. Another one of our members, the neurodivergent rebel, Lyric, I'm sorry, very sorry about that. Very sorry about that. They reached out to me about some of the other problems that we had, and we're gonna work on some hard rules. We're gonna probably have about 3 hard rules, I'm thinking. The first 2 is gonna be very simple. You don't call anybody out of their name, no matter what. Whatever they prefer to be called is what you call them. Because as leftists in our inner circle, you were supposed to operate at the highest level of empathy and compassion. And so that's a non-negotiable. Number 2, if it's a boundary for somebody, that must be respected, which means that if it's not something that we see as a problem, but something that someone else points out as a problem, we have to listen and we have to make sure that that person is fully respected. I'm thinking that's the first 2 rules off dome. We're probably going to come up with a third one if we need it. I don't know. We'll see. But things will be a lot more structured. And when Lyric reached out to me and asked, who takes accountability whenever things like this happen, whenever harm happens to the group. And, for starters, I'm not anyone's leader, but as the person that has been putting together the group, as the person who's getting out here advertising and doing all these things for us, I personally, like I said, I'm not anybody's leader, I'm the Antifa CEO. You're my shareholders. The working class people are my shareholders. I work for you. In this inner circle, I see it more as the executive board. So I work for them. They can hire or fire me. So as the leader of the organization, of course, I take 100% accountability for the harm in the toxic space that was created. Because that's what Comrade Ojaw really pointed that out. That it wasn't friction. I was using that word because, look, I'm not going to lie to everybody. Because, look, there's no reason. We're at the propaganda factory. If you come in here and I'm lying to you, I'm just wasting your time. I'm wasting mine. I'm going to be 100% honest. I let my ego get in the way. And especially when you're in the propaganda game, you always want to show strength. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to throw on the suit. I'm going to get on there. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to show strength. But realistically, strength was different in that moment. Strength wasn't acting like you didn't need people. Strength was being honest and saying, hey, look, I'm very sorry about what happened. I'm very sorry that I allowed it to happen. I allowed it to continue. Strength is taking accountability for the actions that were allowed to transpire and the people that were insulted by that. And strength was not saying that, I didn't believe in you from the start. No, strength was saying that I'm sorry and we're going to do better, because I never get on here to say that I'm a perfect man, and I'm never going to be a perfect man, but I can guarantee you that every day I'm going to try to be a better man. And I think I think we all feel that. I think especially in the group, everybody feels that. because there seems to be a very real degree of respect amongst everyone, especially in the sense that this happened, and we thought we lost. We thought we lost like 5 people, you know. And with that, look, my boy from the group coming up right now. We're gonna have our guest. What's up? We got Dr. Taylor, PhD. How are you today?
How is it going, man? It's good. It's good. It's good.
Oh man, you have a voice for radio. I tell you what.
I hear that a lot, man.
Oh man. So the way that this goes, I like to allow my guests to do their introduction, and in this moment, you can talk about your platforms real quick, or just introduce yourself and how what you're doing right now.
All right. Guess I can give it a go. So yeah, Dr. Taylor, PhD, Taylor for short. If anybody wants to just call me that. As far as I go, I'm obviously on here, being a member of what we like to call the resistance. As far as my personal life, I'm an educator. I teach. I'm actually taking a break from that now. It's funny because there's a school across the street from my house, but I'm taking a break from that now for obvious reasons. Took a break probably about a year or so ago. It was like right before the election happened, because I realized at the time, well, it kind of actually fell, a little bit more in an interesting light, where it kind of just happened at the time where I needed it. So like when I would usually be starting school, or starting the school year in August, I ended up my position ended up being closed. So I ended up going on to do different things, which allowed me to focus on what was happening in the country at the time. And so, and naturally, I started delving more into it because I had more time. And then I started seeing the horror show that we were getting ready to go into. And ever since then, I've been telling anybody who would listen. Sometimes people listen, sometimes people don't. Most times people don't, but it's getting, as time has gone on. Yeah, as time has gone on, more people listen, and it's gotten a little bit better. As far as my platforms go, you guys can find me pretty much everywhere. Facebook here, obviously. You guys see me on TikTok. It's Doc Drew Studios. If you guys are looking for it. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram as well, and there's Patreon and stuff too, but I haven't really put much on there, and a couple other places where I am. But like I said, those are the big 3 at the moment. There's Threads and a couple other things. I don't do X. That is a white supremacist playground.
Absolutely. Honestly, that's the only time I get on it, is when I need to go check on what they're doing, just to make sure, I need to stay up to date.
You have to keep an eye on that, man. I get that.
Which, speaking of, we're not going to talk about that yet, because, frankly, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't think that that's fair to talk about, that racist event that happened to you just yet, because I want to get into Black excellence first, because I feel like if we talk about them first, I think we let them win. So I want to focus you, and I want to center you. And so let's talk about your education journey first and foremost. You have a PhD. What do you have a PhD in, my friend?
That would be higher education administration, and man, that is a journey in itself.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
So I guess I could get started. So originally, my bachelor's is from SIU. I got that it was an elementary ed. Originally, I wanted to be a teacher, like I said, full-blown teacher. Mm-hmm. So I had no intentions of immediately going to get my master's or anything like that. And this is where that, the powers that be of the pale variety come into play.
Right.
So, we get to the end of the scenario. We get to very end, student teaching. Had a little incident happen that was mostly their fault. I was completely honest about what was going on with me. They were not completely honest with me, which eventually led to me, and I'm telling a whole lot here, but I don't mind speaking out about it. It's been 10 years. It's been over 10 years. Eventually led to me almost suing the school. We had to go back and forth for a bit because of my degree and how things went. Eventually, I ended up winning that battle. Like I said, it almost led to a lawyer thing. But like I said, it was to a point where, I'm sitting in my lawyer's office, paperwork's drawn up.
Right.
and I decided against it because I was already in a master's program that was going to give me what I wanted.
Right.
So I said, we'll push this to the side. Well, if I ever want to revisit it, I can, but I don't really want to go back and be evaluated by the same people who just tried to screw me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So,
absolutely.
So from there, I went on. My master's ended up being like expedited. So, I was planning at this point to go. I wanted to go and have sort of a normal life. You go teach for a couple of years, have your wife, your 2 kids, your American dream thing, and then you go and get your master's somewhere in your mid-20s.
Right.
I ended up having my master's by my mid-20s because of this little this edit to that. Part of your 20s is finding out that life ain't as straightforward as they make it seem. It's
That is
one event after another.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. So from there, I went on, went and got my master's in educational tech because I really have always had the spending for technology.
Right.
My thing. If you ever look, I tell everybody, if you come into my room and in my house, you see it looks like the Batcave. So yeah, I'm always been real big with technology. I'm real big with computers, video games, things like that. When I eventually I sort of found a way to combine my 2 interests, and this actually ends up leading to what my eventual dissertation was going to be. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
So I graduated from there, and at the end, right before I was done there, I was like, there's something, I feel like there's more I can do. And when I got screwed with my bachelor's initially, I was like, I want to make it so something like this doesn't happen to anybody else.
Right. So you can be in a position to make that decision for someone else.
Oh yeah, and then so I'm not, as if somebody else isn't making that course. So what ends up happening is I started looking for schools. This time I'm working a security job, which it had its perks. I was just doing something along the side just to kind of not necessarily make ends meet, but
yeah,
you don't really get paid. You
no,
don't get paid
yeah,
in your summers. You don't get paid in your summers as a teacher. So,
right.
I needed something to do over time. Now,
Right.
That led to some fun. That led to some fun moments. Got to meet. I don't know if anybody's into wrestling at all. I got to work some security up in Rosemont, Illinois. So I got to go and meet some wrestlers and all that kind of stuff. It was real fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, as that went, I applied down at SLU, so St. Louis University, and there were other schools there, but at the time, my best friend who I've discussed a lot, he lived down there. We had talked about it, we had discussed it, and I was like, okay, let's go with what I know versus what I don't know, or the area I don't know. So I got in. I think it was January. It was right after the New Year. I know that for a fact because it was a couple days. 7 o'clock in the morning, you go crazy after you find out. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to go start this new journey of mine. So,
yeah. How far was St. Louis from you at that time?
I always tell people it depends on Okay, so the funny way I describe it is I always tell people it depends on how many cops are on the road.
Yeah, no, that's true though. That's true. Going through the back roads, boy.
Depends on how many are on the highway. But for me, I think the fastest, slowest, I want to say it's about 4 hours on average.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it's far. It's a little far from where you at.
Yeah, it's a little far, but it wasn't too far. It's right across the state line. So East St. Louis is still in Illinois, Chicago. So and then you cross the bridge into Missouri, and there's St. Louis right across the river. So it's a real interesting scenario. I got to enjoy that drive. That drive down was something else. My car barely had a serpentine belt that worked. God willing, it got me across. So I got to enjoy that. I lived down there for about 2.5 years, first half of my program. And let me tell you something. Anybody who tells you PhD programs are for the weak, it is not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are not for the faint of heart. Because what I tell people is that it's like having 2 programs at once.
Yeah.
You start one and you're working through, the easy part, which is schoolwork. You can forget all of that shit once you get to the dissertation phase. I mean, you don't forget it, but it's nothing like anything else.
Right.
Dissertation phase is completely different. It's like you're starting over. New game plus, if you will. So that's what it feels like to me. From there, and that honestly, man, it was. I tell people all the time that dissertation phase is like your committee, is usually your chair, your content expert, and then your research methodologist.
Right.
They are the eraser while you're the pencil. So no matter what you write, it felt like every time I get something going, it was always something. And so eventually that, I said that pale horse that I talked to you about earlier comes in play again. We get to a point, I want to say, I had to pass my comprehensive exam. And there was points where, like, there were people in my own committee that were kind of working against me with that.
Right.
It was to a point where, and I can give you an example here. I'm gonna say some words that were said to me. You're allowed to only, I think you have to make it through your comps. You have to get it through in two tries.
You got to earn it, huh? You got to earn it, boy. Is essentially what they were telling you.
Oh boy, but they weren't really saying that. So,
Yeah.
Like, she goes and says, and I remember the words. She's like, she had kind of written me off, like, oh, I was really looking forward to working with you on this, as if it was already over.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, huh?
That lit a fire. Like, it was like, oh, okay, that's all I needed to hear. I feel like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. I was like, oh, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is I go past that, and so finally we get to the point where it's about to work on dissertation. I told this woman, I was like, look, remember how you said that you were looking forward to working with me on my dissertation? Well, you about to get your chance. Now that we here. And there's nothing stopping me from this point. And she made it tough, but she ended up being the first person to shake my hand at graduation. So everything worked out. So my dissertation, I told you earlier, comparative technology, and that was actually on. Oh yeah, so it was on social media and so it's like social identity of college sophomores.
That's so. What year did you do this research, if I can ask?
2020. So 2022 would have been when I graduated. So
okay, so
we'll
2020,
2021 to
yeah,
2022.
Yeah.
Research. And man, like I said, it is funny. Like looking at where I am with social media now, it's almost like it just told us there's a vision in the future.
Yeah. That's I can see that.
So yeah, from there, I was kind of like, I got towards the end of that program, and I was like, I realized higher ed, as it was going, wasn't for me. It wasn't going to be what I wanted to do. So I'm like, you know what? You just take the title and you go where you want to go with it. Because now that you got the title, can't nobody take that from you.
Absolutely.
And so from there, that's kind of what I've done. I've had a couple of years where I've gone back to K through 12. I've taught and done sort of a jack of all trades position for a couple of years, and then I did work some in higher ed for a bit, when that was fun. We got to work with student athletes. So some of the stuff I've covered this week is kind of straight, like real close to home for me. So I've gotten to do that. But now a lot of my focus is shifted towards what we're focused on now. And I obviously do still work from time to time, and like I said, I try to make sure that I am able to go and continue to do what I do. But I try to mix it up a little bit. I know I don't want to do this full time anymore. Because what good is it if I'm sitting there working this full time, people aren't aware of what's going on in the world. One of the biggest telling things for me, it was the end of last year. I was subbing towards the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And it was like in a 6th grade class. And the thing is, if you live in Chicago, it's mostly Hispanic. You know that. Especially in like CPS, stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm looking around and, I'm asking, like, not necessarily probing questions, but questions to see where everybody's at and how much they know. And they didn't know a lot. They suspected nothing. And I was horrified because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So, sure enough, once stuff rolled around a couple months back, people were shook by it because they didn't know. It's like they hadn't been paying attention.
Yeah. I think that's part of it, is that, well, it's two parts. The first part is that some people, maybe it was blissful ignorance, but for other people, it was extremely intentional, and it's exactly what they voted for.
Oh yeah, you're right, like 100%. Like, and like I said, I don't know. Is it okay? Is it okay if we break into this now?
Look, we can. You went through your educational journey. I just wanted to make sure that you had space before we talk. We gonna be talking about racism pretty much. I just wanted to give you the space first to talk about. Hey, look, I'm a black man. I got educated against the odds. I don't know about you. just my undergrad, just to get my undergrad was a freaking mountain. So, I could imagine to go on because I wanted to go on, but I ended up having a kid, so I had to go to work. But it's all good.
Hey man, I get it. I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
got to do what you got to do, baby. But yeah, we could go right into it because you know, for me, last night especially, I was on a live with my boy Joey Does It, and Joey has a good community, and people from the immigrant community will come on, and because he's trying to connect people, connect the helpers, connect any people with any sort of resources that can be made available and whatnot. It's not necessarily that he has things to do, but he's starting to do like toy drives and food drives, and he's trying to do community action. So last night, a woman's advocate, got on there. I think she might have just been a friend. I don't remember correctly, but she might have been an advocate in a professional capacity. And she got on there and was speaking with Joey, and she was telling him about how a young family, there was a 3-year-old American citizen boy. His father was taken and detained, and they don't know if he was deported yet or what's happened. And they're trying to get information, and the mom is scared, and she doesn't want to talk to anybody or any of these things. And it was extremely heartbreaking. But what really broke me down in that moment, as you know, so some people on the live, and Joey's asking like, okay, like, is there anything that the kid needs right now that we can help with? And it's paused for a second, and the woman's just like, I mean, he just needs his dad, and that hit me so hard. I mean, I know a lot of other people probably started crying. I was tearing up. Yesterday was a very emotionally draining day for me too. I know that you said that you're on the verge of taking a break, which we'll talk about mental health and stuff like that as well. But just in that moment, it really broke me because this racism, this brutalization of brown bodies that our country was founded on and continues to exist in, it really just broke me down that. And you go through all these other MAGA lives and all these, and they love it. And they're like, it's what I voted for, get the illegals. And it's so absolutely vile and disgusting, Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, see, and people again, it's a sad thing about it is, and I say this a lot with a lot of people. People are very, especially in bigger cities, they are so out of sight, out of mind about it.
Right.
In Chicago, like I said, we have a very large Latino population, and so one thing when this whole thing really got going, I started being out and about, trying to look at how social life was, because I live more towards like a real corner of the city where you kind of have a real decent mix of everybody, and so I wanted to see how people reacted to what. Now, if you know Chicago, Chicago is one of the most segregated cities ever.
I mean, a lot of them are, but yeah, Chicago is literally.
Chicago is bad.
Yeah.
It's bad when it comes to being segregated, man. I mean, everybody always calls it a melting pot. I'm like, no. It's like one of those density experiments you see in chemistry where all the liquids are separated from each other.
Yeah.
So I was out more, and I would notice like, oh boy, we're gonna end up breaking open. When the whole CK stuff happened in September, it was like one of the starting points. I remember when I initially found out, I was going to go get lunch somewhere that I usually go, and it was being talked about. And I'm looking at people, and okay, so for me personally, everybody knows my personal feelings about it. If I wasn't honest about it before, everybody knows.
Right, like it is what it is, Sorry, but
yeah, it is what it is. I ain't sorry. So
it happens every day.
And so it came up at this place I was at. I was talking with one of the people I know. She works there. We were talking about it because obviously it's on the news where we're at. I shit you not, and this comes, like I said, I never forget this. 2 guys next to me, both white. As soon as they hear this conversation, immediately get up, walk out, on cue, as if they were offended by what I said. And I was like, oh, see, I know where y'all at.
Yeah.
So that's what you think. Okay, cool. So I leave, and it gets talked about for a bit. I felt bad, because I feel like maybe I cost my friend tips or something like that. Like, did I screw you over on this? My bad. And I made sure she was taken care of. But, it put things in perspective. I didn't think much of it until, I leave, I come back a little later. 'cause I guess I wanted to watch, sport. I'm a big sports fan, so I'm going to go watch that. And somebody actually had a conversation with me. Oh, people were really upset about what you had to say. I'm like, so they're upset that I'm not sad that
Yeah.
racist under here.
Yeah. Like,
we need to have a different conversation.
right.
I don't think I've ever paid a tab so quick and just walked out. Like, you didn't see me for about a month. I mean, I got up and like I let my friend who was there know like what was up. I was like, I'm not coming up because of that. Because the thing is, if you felt some kind of way about that, like if you feel what he said was correct, you lucky I don't hit you.
I mean, yeah, that ass.
And I'm not that kind of, I'm not even that kind of person. But like, yo, you thought what he said was okay? Like he was talking about us when it happened. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, literally. That's the thing about it, you know. And what's crazy too is, you know, these MAGAs, because they'll try to bring up stuff like that to me, and I'm like, look, it was your gang violence. It was literally your gang. Y'all radicalized that kid, and just because he happened to break away for a couple of months, you think it was the left? That's not how it works. You put all that effort and energy into that person to radicalize them, and it's just that it was pointed at the wrong person. So how can you be upset? You know, and they get so, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, let's live in reality. You know, I mean, for me, like you said, that was a turning point. No irony for me as well, because I saw the modern day lynch mobs forming, and
don't get me started. I got death threats on here.
Yeah, yeah, same. I'm sure I've been reported to every alphabet agency that I could be reported to, and I never got on. I never celebrated. I never, you know, maybe I did a little rationalizing because we all just processed a freaking hit in real time. I mean, how could you, you know, my freaking brains, everyone going crazy. But, you know, so you see these modern day lynch mobs going around trying to dox people and whatnot. And that's immediately when I realized that we have to make more of an effort to protect ourselves. And I don't just mean, of course, in our real lives, but in every facet of every way. We need to fortify our incomes by making sure that we have like-minded people that we can seek to do business with. We have to fortify our families. We have to fortify our platforms and our ability to speak out against the things that we don't believe in. And that's one of the reasons that I started this whole connecting people and connecting, you know, like people like you and other creators, because that's realistically one of the only ways that we'll be protected. And they can flip the switch and turn any one of these platforms off, and no one will hear from us again. And then who knows what happens to us in real life. And, you know, just the ability to talk now to so many different people and have these platforms available too, and us to be able to share and commingle. You know, if anybody gets taken down, now we have an opportunity to try to re-platform. You know, before that didn't even exist. You know, you lose your stuff, you out the game. Now you got to work from scratch. You got to hope you people can find you. But now we're trying to create something that, you know, an insurance policy, if you will. But
don't get me started.
yeah, because I mean, I had immediately there was a creator, Kimberly Hunt. She was doxxed and she lost her job. And I had her on as a show of strength because, you know, we have to wrap our arms around all comrades. We have to make sure that we're protecting each other and emboldening the people who are saying the things that we want to hear.
You know, I'll speak on this too. So a lot of people don't know this. I've spoken about this a couple of times, and I've tried to do a fundraiser on here. We'll see if we can get this going next year. So I do what I usually do, I didn't do it last year, but the year before I did, I usually will do a college tour for young African American students as a part of the church that I'm part of. And so what ended up happening is last year I was terrified because I saw what was coming, things of that nature. And especially going into this year, this year in particular, I stayed off because I was concerned. My mom still does it. And I let her know because a lot of times they go to these schools down south, especially right now. And then, they had the threats of all towards the HBCUs. A lot of those students didn't even know who this guy was.
Yeah, that's right, because they're young, and they're not in the game yet, really.
And I mean, it was just a lot of the black community in general. Like, my mom knew who it was because I was trying to debate him prior to his untimely demise.
Yeah.
But before that happened, like a lot of people didn't even know who this guy was until it happened. So they're sitting there acting like we're at fault for it. We ain't even doing anything. Like the whole time we sitting there going about our day, doing whatever we have to do to survive and get through, like, whatever yearly trials we got to go through. All of a sudden, you got people threatening us based on this. You got people showing up to campuses trying to debate us as if it's like not trying to stir up a pot. Like, and I mean, I don't know. It's like, and so it was a hassle and a half. I had to tell, like, my mom's still in charge of all of that. And I was like, look, do this at your own risk, but also let them know what's going on. It might be beneficial if I decide to go this time around because of how everything was going on, what's going on with in the world, especially over here now. And you got, like I said, now I forget where they're. It's funny that it came up in the news. She just let me know yesterday they're going to LSU amongst other schools and whatnot. And I was like, ooh, man, just might want to stay away from Ole Miss or something like that right now. Things are a little tense.
Right.
Yeah, but it's been an experience, and I've had to go and let some of my former students on those tours know because they weren't completely aware of what's going on, but they're sitting at these colleges now, and I'm like, you need to be more conscious of what's happening in the world. You can't just be tunnel visioned and worry about what's right in front of you. You have to look at your peripherals and see what's happening, and if you don't do that, you're going to miss a lot. It's one of the conversations I've had to have with one of my closest friends. I always joke around. He's very, think Carlton Banks before the incident. We're talking before they had the incident with the cop in the Fresh Prince. So, like, he gets it, but he's starting to get it, like, really get it.
Yeah.
And so I'm to tell him, like, that's not what you think it is. I remember we had a conversation once. He was in a fraternity, and he's like, I don't understand why they don't want to hear my point of view, because you're there to be a face. You're not there to actually have a place in the thing. You just there so you fit a quota for them. So
Right.
You don't see that yet. And so now you're learning how that is, and that's hard. And I don't want that for you, but unfortunately, that's how things are. You have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I think because I actually wanted to go to Ole Miss, and that was one of the reasons that I didn't, because I realized that was one of the most racist towns in America, which ain't make no sense. And it's funny because you're from Chicago. I'm from the rural South, and I'm real big on American history. I don't want to say I'm an expert or anything like that. I mean, I'm just a simple chemist, but I read a lot, and I'm real big on Southern history. And so it's very crazy that the supremacy in our country. You think it's supposed to be different down here, but you see it extrapolated there. You see that they're doing the same things in all these places, and you see that the descendants of these people, especially right now, are feeling very emboldened. Like we can get now into what happened to you. Like we can get now to what happened to you because they're so emboldened that they're literally vandalizing our property. So
I want to say it was 2 weeks ago now. Okay, so I don't know, for those of you who don't know, about 2 weeks ago, I think I was can't remember what I was doing. I knew I was leaving the house for something, and I had to go past my garage for it. So for those of you who don't know, my garage is not directly connected to my house, so I wouldn't be able to see this like right from where I am. But so I go past the fence, and I shit you guys not, there is a swastika. Like, granted, it was like a whole gang's like thing. It's a whole like smorgasbord of graffiti, but the swastika is obviously what stands out.
Let's make sure. Let's say like because we have to try to be algorithmically friendly. Because I'm on. I know TikTok is probably some way about that. I don't know how the other platforms are, but just to be safe, so we can use that historic German symbol.
Yeah, we'll call it that. So yeah, historic German symbol was there amongst everything else, and I'm sitting there
painted
at
on your garage.
Yes, and the thing is, I didn't even notice it at first because I put it up and because at first I just noticed graffiti around it. I'm thinking, okay, I'm mad about that. When I put it back down is when I saw it, and I was like, That is what I think it is. Okay. I'm gonna go somewhere and calm down because I took a picture of it, to obviously send to the city of Chicago. The thing is, they clean that stuff up for free. Lucky me. So they'll come and they'll take care of it real quick, and which eventually, they were there next day taking care of it. But it's just the principle of the thing, and so I'm thinking, okay, it's taken care of, it's done, whatever. I found out who was responsible, what thing was responsible. It turned out to be
Was it a teenager?
yeah, it was a teenager, but it was because apparently I guess there's some Hispanic gang who was really into who had a leader who worshiped the guy, which I still find odd. But okay, and so I'm thinking, okay, it's done with. I come out a couple days later, it's on there again.
Bruh.
Somebody twice in 1 week.
Oh my god, dude.
I'm out. Because the thing is, and I know how they did it, because this time it was on a Friday, right? So they knew the city wasn't gonna get to it
Till Monday. I'm done, bruh.
They knew the city wasn't gonna get to it till Monday. So I'm like, all right, I see why they're doing it. I see why they did it. They wanted us to stay up because, I don't know if I told us. Like I said, I told you guys, I live in front of a school in the park. So it was going to it was going to make sure that people saw,
Yeah.
which is what the goal was. So everybody's seen it by then. Eventually, city comes up, takes care of it that Monday. Took a power washer to it. Just wipe that stuff clean off.
Yeah.
And the sad thing, like I said, that garage door is brand new. So I was I'm irritated. I thought, honestly, I get so annoyed by stuff like that to a point where I was about to go to Home Depot and go get a power wash for myself.
Yeah. Because, it's sitting there all weekend. Yeah.
If it sits there long enough, it's just going to stick.
Yeah.
I don't want that. You have to get that off quick. So city took care of it. Again, no problem. And nobody's done anything since.
And if I can ask real quick, do you have a family? You got kids and stuff or anything?
No.
Okay.
So, and I've told people this, my mom's in the house. She does, several years ago, right before I got my PhD, she had a knee replacement. So when I came back, we had sort of deal. So she's here, but I know it's just something that she didn't see right away. It was something I wanted to take care of without her worried about it. She was off for the weekend doing something else. She eventually saw it, but I let her know because she was out the second time when it came through. She was doing she's real involved with her sorority. She's a Delta. I don't know if anybody is aware of anything like that. But yeah, Divine Nine, you know how that is.
Yeah.
But she was doing some event. And so I was like, hey, do your thing. Make sure you ride over here. And this is what happened. I'm just so you know, just in case you come home through it. But by the time she got back, it was pretty much taken care of. But still, it's nothing you want to have to go have that conversation with.
No, not only that, but like you said, you're across from a park and a school. You don't want to be advertising literal hate speech all weekend,
right in front of especially that Monday, I was really hoping they'd get to it quick, which they did. It was done by 10.
Yeah, that's good.
School starts early over there.
Yeah.
So I'm these kids are going to see this and be like, what? And again, like I said, it's a mostly Hispanic and Black neighborhood. So they're going to walk up and see this. And at first, between me and you, and between everybody who's watching this, I don't mind saying it, they got my neighbor's garage too.
Damn.
Yeah, second time it was just me. Second time it was just me.
Damn.
And it was there. They got his garage first time. Second time I came out, it was just mine.
See, people ask why I'm up all night on the stream while I'm cutting propaganda all the time. It's because hatred don't sleep. These racists don't sleep. I can't sleep. I gotta keep doing it. I gotta be out here. I gotta show an educated black face every day because if I don't, look what happens,
It never stops. Somebody was actually, I think one of our cop mutuals, he's just talking to me about this. He's like, you don't get a break at all, do you? I'm like, no, I don't. It's constant, and it's been like that for years. You wake up and expect that. It's been honestly, to tell you the truth, and I say this all the time, I grew up in what was originally a mostly white neighborhood. And then on top of that, I went to a mostly white private high school. So I've been dealing with this type of stuff my entire life.
Yeah, of course.
You see this constantly. And if we're talking about systemic stuff, it's been, like I said, my entire life, even before I could even recognize what it was. So, it does wear on you. Again, that leads to the whole like eventual like you know, you got to take care of your mental.
Absolutely.
If you don't, I mean, man, like I said, especially these last couple of weeks have really worn to where I'm like, okay, you need to dial it back. Probably start like as the holidays go on, and give yourself some time before you go into the new year, and
Right.
then you can reset and
No,
come back to it.
I mean, no,
Because if you don't,
that's exactly it. Because people don't realize. Number one, life is hard. Number one, first and foremost. Number two, when you add the compounding of racism on top of that and having to deal with it all the time, it can be stressful. Of course, we get, I don't want to say used to it, but we know how to brush it off. We know how to, we know how to hit a little bob and weave, but at the same time, it wears you down. And especially when you add all this, when you add the fact that we're on here in front of thousands. I mean, I don't know what numbers you do, but I do millions a month, and I get thousands of comments all the time, and they call me horrible things. I mean, when that plantation burned down, that for that specific reason, when that plantation burned down, I made sure to go to that motherfucker and laugh in their face because, ha ha, you racist, you want to sit here and cry about this? I got something you could cry about. This is the most happy thing in the world. I can't believe we had that in the same year. What a year for us, huh? God dang, boy. We having a generational run this year.
I swear, like and the thing is, I actually, it's funny you say that. I just had to explain that to people because some people were like, oh, you didn't get to my you didn't get to my message, you didn't get to this message. I'm like, I don't think you understand how many comments and like DMs I get about this type of stuff per day. Like,
right.
It's a lot. Like, I mean, like, because I say I don't know about you and your numbers and stuff like that, but I get a lot, especially even especially on TikTok.
Right. Like, no, yes, exactly.
Like, yeah, Facebook. That's just like I didn't really. So fun little fact, and I've mentioned this recently. That Facebook page is about 2 years old, but I didn't really start using it till probably in September. So like it's been like 2 months of just everywhere. Like constantly, people are like, oh, you got this on Instagram, you got this on this. I'm like, where have y'all been? Like I've been doing this social media game for like 2 years. Y'all the ones that didn't pay attention. I've been trying to tell y'all to listen. But I mean, it's just I get like thousands of comments a day, and I had to explain it because I think somebody said, actually no, it's a fun conversation. This came within the same means. I had to be straightforward with somebody because she wasn't really understanding as to why I wasn't treating life as if it was just a normal thing. Like, why don't you want to have kids? Why don't you want to do that? And
right.
I was like, you have to understand how the country is right now. I'm not putting any of my offspring through this. Like, I would never. That'd just be wrong. That'd be selfish of me. And it'd just be wrong. And what I was explaining, and she was saying, we have mutuals, and I'm like, there's an old Batman Beyond clip where the guy's like, do you have the slightest idea of how little that narrows it down? And I was having to explain. Yeah, I had to explain it to her. Like she was like, we have mutuals, and I'm like, do you realize how small? Yeah, like I have mutuals with millions of people now.
Yeah, realistically. Yeah, I'm sure you got followers could get you to the White House in some capacity. Well, I don't know about this administration. Well, in this administration too, honestly.
Like right now, and so like people don't know that, and I'm like, yeah, like it's not, my world isn't so small anymore where I'm able to just kind of, I can try to go, delve between things, but it takes a lot to go through all of these different comments.
Right.
So,
with that being said, two things. Number one, I want to thank you, for giving me a personal line to be able to contact you, as well as all the other creators in the group, because I understand, especially because part of me doing this too, I want to speak to creators because people don't understand like our perspectives on things, and they don't understand exactly like some of the things that we're going through. Not to say that, I mean, look, it's not all fucking candies and rainbows. Like all of us have like jobs and shit. Like besides the freaking big Democratic ones getting $8,000 a month from Chorus, like besides them having a good time, going do their little BSs and making thousands of dollars on streams because they argue with the MAGAs, they're having a great time. But us, we out here grinding. We out here, same suit. I need to get this bitch dry clean, but I'm doing 5 days a week. I don't think they'll get it back to me by Monday, so I'm scared. I only got one suit. But part of it is I want to talk to people who are creating, because we have very unique perspectives into the human mind, not only our own mind, but we're seeing a collective mind. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to discuss and talk to you directly and to communicate with you directly. I promise to never abuse that. And also, we have to explain to our followers and explain to our communities how the access works, because the numbers are substantial. I mean, just here on your TikTok, you got 250,000, and all across all your other platforms. I don't know what's your total like. Are you like up to 400,000 or something like that?
It's close to like 300,000.
Yeah, so you have 300,000 followers across all platforms. I have 250,000 across all platforms. There's no way that I can communicate with every one of you, So part of what I want to do with this podcast, especially, and like these chats, I know we're just on a TikTok live, but I rip it, I upload it to the pod. We're live on 7 different platforms. I'm trying to make it a way that we can all talk not only to each other directly in real time, but we can talk to our followers and stuff like that directly in real time, because all of us have built up things and we don't all have the time to like do all the things all the time, especially like messaging people. And in terms of how much it drains from your mental health, people don't realize that like just communicating with all these people, it does take a little piece of you. And our time is so limited, and especially in the content game, we have to be innovating constantly. We always have to be thinking about what's the next content. What am I working on? What am I doing today? What am I talking about? You throw in the freaking fascist administration ripping people off the streets, and all of that gets so heavy. With that, I want to get into, I'm going to be honest in a moment of vulnerability, because I know that you were talking about taking a break, which especially this time of year, I guess it is good too in some capacity. This is a very hard time of year for me, and I had a mental breakdown yesterday. I was at work too. I was uncontrollably just like sobbing for like 45 minutes because I knew it was gonna happen, because I've been on the mountain for a while. When you live with it for a while, the mountains, the valleys, and we've just had such momentum with growing everything and putting together all the creators and whatnot. And the group chat was kind of blowing up because Wisconsin Department of Propaganda got drunk and was, just being a D-bag in there. And he offended a lot of people, and a couple people left and whatnot. But when it all shook out, we only actually lost the troublemaker. We only lost him. Everybody's still connected. Everybody's still happy. Everybody still takes it extremely serious. And that in that moment, like, so I'm seeing it in real time, people leaving, and I'm just breaking down, because it's like, you want to improve people's lives. We're getting on here in some capacity to try to provide something to people, to improve people's lives, even if it's a moment of just happiness. But some of us are putting real action in motion. I mean, you said you freaking substitute teaching in Chicago. That's as close to Jesus as you can get in modern day times,
Oh my God. Every day.
That ass. So, to fortify your mental health, I want to make sure that you see, you're not the only one that's in it. We're in it together. There's a lot of like-minded people with similar platforms, and we're doing good things. And iron sharpens iron. When you surround yourself by smart, compassionate, empathetic people, it does make you feel a little better. Because after my mental breakdown, having found out we only lost the one person, that everybody is still cool and whatnot, it hit me that this is actually something stronger. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with any of y'all. It has everything to do with all of the people who tune in and watch and put faith and effort into the creativity that we're putting out into the world. And I think it's really amazing that so many of us now are coming together to try to put palpable action into the world. And it is very mentally taxing. And I think that if you are honest and even vulnerable with your community, they're going to catch you. And we'll catch you too, comrade. We're here for you. But of course, you fortify your mental health in whatever you see fit. But, fascism doesn't sleep. Racism doesn't sleep. Oppression don't sleep.
Not at all.
It's good to take a day off, though. Sometimes you definitely have to. I'm not sitting here saying you got to work every day. And I know that creating on the side is full time, no matter, that's what people don't realize. It's full time. You know, even if you got a job, creating is full time all the time.
Right, people don't get that. You mean you have an idea come to you just sitting. You sitting in the parking lot on break from your regular 9 to 5.
Yes,
And
you,
you got to do it right there because
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna lose.
yeah, it's lightning. It's lightning, and you got to catch it. You know, did you watch Avatar, The Last Airbender?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so you know when the lightning comes, you gotta right at the enemy. You gotta hit the lightning, you know. But yeah, you know that's part of what I'm trying to preach right now. You know, I'm leaning on Avatar: The Last Airbender a little bit because you know, part of being in the propaganda factory, part of being part of the machine is that we are playing with fire, implicitly, explicitly, all the plicits. We're doing it with full knowledge that we can get burned. But right now, that's what this time requires. You know, we need firebenders. I know we like water, I know we like earth, but really we need firebenders. We need people to be as energetic as possible to push the message every day, to keep pounding the pavement. You know, and frankly, you know, Dr. Taylor, you've been doing that. I haven't watched all your content because I mean, especially now that I'm now that I'm getting all these content creators, it's like I have my own TV. It's so crazy, dude. You know, when you really look at all these people making all these things and they're writing and everybody's got like,
the channel dedicated to it, man.
dude, it's amazing. It's so amazing, you know. And I think that that's what I want to become as part of the propaganda factory. Is I just want to uplift and embolden as many amazing people as I can. And you know that's why I wanted to have you on, man. I really appreciate you being able to give us your story. Especially, you know, I really want to say that I appreciate that in a time in which you felt that you were facing, you know, some mental health, a little bit of darkness, you know, you still found energy for me, comrade. And because of that, I really cannot express how much I truly appreciate that. As someone who is in the trenches and understands what it takes, I really do appreciate it.
Definitely, anytime.
We can get into because some of the things we can get into some of the hobbies and stuff that you be bringing up on your channels, because I think that that's one of the parts that kind of gives it a good authentic, you know, you're very well rounded as a person online. You know, you have the politics, you have the educational aspect.
Oh man. So it's funny you bring that up. So for me, you know, like I said, this whole thing, and I tell people a lot, and it's actually, I thought it was just me who was like this, but turns out it's a lot of people where they talked about a lot of things and they were all over the place, and then they hit November and suddenly everybody's all of a sudden on politics.
Every day. Every day.
Oh my God. It's every day. It's becoming an everyday thing. Like I try to mix it up now and then. I have my like mix of different content because I like when things come to mind, things come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I try to do some of everything, you know, because I realize that there is going to be a time after this.
Exactly.
Yeah, when, you know, this is all said and done. And I don't want this to be the only thing that I talk about. You know, like I said, I have other interests. I try to keep people laughing, you know, in the midst of this too. I try to throw some comedy in there as much as possible. Because the thing is, like, you get a lot of people, there are subjects you got to talk about seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. Not every subject has to be talked about in such a doom and gloom way. Like,
no, yeah, you can be satirical a lot of the time. I mean, that's a lot of what.
I noticed that with a lot of people. They'll come in and that's like everything is so doom and gloom, and I get that the situation is very much serious. However, the constant doom and gloom puts some people off.
Mm-hmm.
And while you have to be realistic about those things, you know, there is a line between realism and pessimism.
Correct.
It's almost like, you know, it's thin. It's very thin. And I think a lot of people forget that. But, you know, it's beneficial to make sure that, you know, you try to stay a little bit positive, try to give people something to be upbeat about in those times. So I try to be as satirical with that as possible. When it comes to certain things, I try, especially with this, like I said, it seems like it's always all bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, and nothing they're doing is good. We can all say that. But, you know, you have to put some, like, positive, like, you know, some funny spin on it. For
Yeah.
people, where they're, okay, I have this reason to keep going. Not everything is just so, like, doom and gloom, you know?
Not only that, but it's part of the innovative way that, you know, we're using our platforms to actually get the message out, because like you said, some people aren't going to subscribe to doom and gloom 24/7, you know, so you have to be able to provide the message for everybody. And that's why, frankly, like you said, just from hearing you speak about the way that you approach the content game, I can tell that you're going to be and continue to be a successful creator, because you know, you immediately said, you know, you're in the moment and you understand what you're doing right now, but you're thinking years ahead realistically in the content game. When you said there's going to be a time after this, you're thinking years ahead. You're planning content years ahead. So to see that through line, you know, just remember me when you're successful. That's all I gotta say, big dog.
Thank you.
Remember me when you're rich, you know? Remember us working class folk. Remember that we still got to fight for solidarity, you know?
Of course. No, it was, no, it's like I said, I tried my best. Like I said, you remember in your moment. And I realized, like I said, I'm not the only one that's like that. There are several others. I've realized that in the past couple of days, actually. I've come across people, a lot of people who were very, you know, they, like I said, the switch flipped when the time was right. And now they're like, okay. And I've talked to other people about that. Actually, I had that conversation. It's funny you brought her up earlier. I had that conversation with Kim at one point. We were like, when she was really starting out, like kind of started out as a content creator, I was like, you know, something you might want to think about is that when this time is eventually up, when we're past this point, you might want to consider what goes on beyond that. Because the thing is, you creative enough to where you can come up with stuff that's not just that. I know you are, but at the same time, you don't want to make that everything you're about.
Yeah.
And whether you decide to do that is on you, but you know, you don't want to make that everything you're about, because the thing is, you don't want people to sort of, you know, keep you in a box. If you will.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. You never want your content to be in a box. That was the lesson that we've learned from the first generation of YouTubers and people online and things like that, is you can be niche, but you need to stay wide, because when you're wide, you can go into whatever niche you're interested in, and you'll always have the derivative content. But at the same time, don't be a coward. The world has enough cowards. And I think that that's where the most success will come from the new class of creators, is that we're not raising cowards. We're not lifting up cowards. If you're going to sit here and spend your time and spend your platform not speaking about some of the existential things that are facing us. And this is the thing about it. I encourage every creator, I don't care what side you're on, actually. If you're a MAGA, just go be a MAGA so we can actually, like, know. Because I don't want to support you and I don't want to engage in that content. So I need to know, actually, and I would prefer to know. The world has more than enough cowards out here.
Just be honest about who you are.
That's exactly it. You know, especially if you're going to be a public facing platform or whatever. But you know, part of it is that the business and the economic incentives and all these sponsorship deals and whatnot. The thing about it is, when it comes down to it, when you really look at the money, the real money is in the politics. So if you just be successful in politics, and people will pay you oodles of cash for you to push propaganda. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. This is the United States of America. We're spending the most money on propaganda that has ever been spent in the history of humanity.
Oh my Lord!
So just, you know,
they realized how much, you know, part of the reason that, you know, the election and things like that went a sort of way this year is because, you know, you realize that, like, this time around is because you had, it almost seemed like one side had a better understanding of social media and how it could be used than the other.
It's not only social media, because yes, you had Elon purchase Twitter, but it was also a better understanding of the game, really. Like, they just, or maybe it's that I think what it is that there's rules that we've been playing by for a long time, that we've implicitly agreed that we're not going to cross certain lines because we understand how it can be poisonous to our society. And even though some people have used those things in some ways that it was tried to be less mainstream, or we had maybe a generation where we had our politics cleaned up just a little bit, or maybe it just looked cleaner. Who knows? But regardless, we're here now in this moment, and it's very obvious that the politics is dirty as it can be. That's part of the reason why, I don't actually think we have to get money out of politics. The problem is that, like, we just don't have money. If more working class people had more disposable income to throw around, hell, I'd throw some money to shoot a rocket to Mars. I'd throw some money to every politician in every district if I just had some room to breathe. I would throw all kinds of money around.
If that was the case, I get that. Yeah, it was a little bit easier, I swear. Yeah, it's become such an economic game there. And the thing is, you can tell this with certain creators where you could tell if the money wasn't being there. You can almost, and we call this out. I think I called this out in a recent video where you can tell. Almost watch their soul being sucked out in what they say. They have
Yes.
that eye look where you can tell you can tell they 100% don't believe in what they're saying.
It's not only that they don't believe it, you can tell that some creators are so in it that they actually like hate what they're doing. Like they've created a job, they created another job, and they're stuck in it. I think part of, well, two things. Number one, I'm going to shout out to Adam. Big shout out to Adam because he is someone, he connected us. Huge shout out to Adam because he actually connected Ojaw and whatnot. He's put together, I would say probably a quarter of the team in some capacity just by reaching out and doing that hard work. So big dub to Adam because I think what he saw in both of us is that energy and that liveliness and that authenticity. Because when I watched your videos, you're not, I mean, we make some money, but you're not doing it for an economic incentive. You're doing it because that's what you believe in. And the money is just, it's just a benefit, at least look, I don't know you, but just from looking at your video, cause you're looking into the camera, you can tell some things from people's eyes. And that's what I believe, when I looked at you. And, in terms of Ojaw, too, because Ojaw is a bigger platform, I actually believe the same thing about Ojaw. It's just that I didn't necessarily at first think that he took us, like our little group seriously. But, I really like Ojaw now, and he's a very solid guy, and I look forward to learning from everybody. I mean, everybody already is teaching me so much just from their different platforms. And I think this is a very unique thing because it's very clear that there's no like economic incentive. There is like a benefit, like we all will have some degree of a benefit, but like we're not based around an economic incentive. I think that especially what all this BS in our group chat proved is that like everyone there is actually there to improve material conditions for people. And it's very cool because, like, I actually trust everybody so much more. And I feel so much more energized. And I feel like what we're doing is very real. And I don't feel like we're wasting a minute by putting any amount of time and energy into it. And it feels very productive,
Agreed. Like, it definitely feels like you could tell we're not there, like, as a whole, we're not there to kind of, just push or just, to get some type of monetary incentive. While things while things may eventually happen, and that's great if that ends up being a benefit that we get, it's not the reason we're there.
No.
Like, the reason we're there is for the betterment of humanity, and that's important.
Right.
Like I said, that's the reason why we should be there in the first place. So.
Yeah, and even though even though as the CEO, Antifa CEO, I'm we do have to increase our revenue for all pages. It's not so that we can jet around and live luxurious lives or whatever. It's so that we can do the damage that we want to do, so that we can put the action that we want to put in, because everybody has such creative and unique ideas or just compassionate. I mean, everyone in the group just wants to feed people. I think that's one of the most magical things about that too. And so, yeah, I think that's because I've been in other group chats. I've been in things before. And I don't know what it is, but something is substantially different. I think maybe it's perhaps the world around us. Maybe the world around us is calling people together. Like you said, like the light switch, the switch flipped in them whenever they saw that the time needed them to step up, because that's exactly how I felt. Number one, I've been changing my platform since the election because I saw that it required for the left to take propaganda seriously. Which, some people may be turned off by that, but it's okay. I'm still fighting for you. I'm still working for you. And we can use words without being offended. We can understand what our objectives are without, getting blown away by the other side's propaganda. But also, I think that especially whenever Donnie signed that executive order, it put a target on every one of us, not just us as creators, but every person who disagreed with this administration. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was scared. I was scared because whenever he's saying that this is an organization, my first thought is there's no leader. So they're going to be able to come after every single person. They're going to be able to label anybody the leader of this group and haul them into court and potentially put them in prison until how long, until the Democrats get back in power? Like, come on, So, I mean, whether I'm stupid, who knows? I don't know. It wasn't for the content, but it definitely wasn't for the content, I can tell you, because my freaking algorithm's been nuked since I started doing this. But I felt like I had to step up in some way. Of course, I'm not anybody's leader because all of you in Antifa are my shareholders and I work for you. So I can't tell any of you what to do. But I feel like this was just what needed to happen. Like, somebody needed to put on a suit. Somebody had to stand up and say, I am the leader of Antifa. And if it came with federal charges, it comes with federal charges, because that's the fastest way to national news in this administration. And maybe I'm stupid. I might be. But I personally think that the presidency in the future, it runs through Antifa. It might not be me. It's probably going to be a beautiful communist woman. I keep saying it because women will be the leaders of the revolution, in my opinion. There will be nothing on the other side if it is not going through the women, because the society built in men's image for so long has just been garbage. And, we kind of need to do something about this.
I can agree with that.
I imagine you had to take a phone call or something.
Just a bit.
Yeah, that's no problem. I was just I was just saying that the switch flipped, and that's why I've changed my platform to what it is now, because I felt like this is just something I needed to do. And it's something that you as well, like you said, it switched with you. Hey, Mexi.
Yeah, I understand. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, it's no problem, buddy. It's no problem.
Yeah. So, I caught the tail end of what you said, and I agree with you. Like, society, like, is at least going forward in terms of how the leadership and, the person who should probably be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this stuff, and we've tried this men being in charge for so long, and the only thing we've managed to do is screw everything up.
I mean, not only him, but when you look at conservative politics in whole, personally, I live in the South, so I've lived under conservative politics my entire life, whether it was Republican or Democrat, because that's what we don't realize is there was a shift of what was considered, Republican and Democrat in the South, but it was always conservative politics. The South has lived under a conservative regime for the last 120 years, and it is obviously a failed experiment.
So, I can also speak to that. So, my family originally is from rural Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've heard about this basically, growing up and, how things were versus, my family didn't really move in, up to here until, the 50s and 60s. So, and even understanding how that change happened, it, most of my family still stayed down there.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that understanding, it's like the first thing that gets brought up every time. The Democrats are the ones that did this. I'm like,
yeah.
Who are they siding with now?
Yeah, that's I try not to use the party labels, because it's easier to just understand it in the context of conservative versus progressive, because that's essentially what it was. I mean, the Republicans in the Civil War were a more progressive, substantially more progressive party. And now the modern day Republicans, they say they're conservative. It's not really conservative. It's completely different now. It's really just for power.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't even call it. Yeah, you can't even call this conservative. It's just full blown fascism. But like,
But then, you know, part of my issue right now though is like with the Democrats, what's the alternative? Because we're still being sold out to the billionaires. Like that's my issue right now in this moment. Now let me be 100%, you know, of course I voted for Kamala Harris in the next presidential election. Of course I'm going to have to vote for a freaking Democrat because I know we're not going to have our shit together in a couple of years, but it's okay. If we can get to the one right after that, if we can aim for right after that, I think we can probably have enough motion to make something substantial happen. But we have to figure out some sort of way to have a party that doesn't have billionaires. And I know that sounds crazy because it's like we need money and all these things. But I think that if we can do that, then we can have a party centered around community. And when community is the basis of the power, I think that we can have substantially better results for everyone that's participating in the system.
So I kind of agree with that. Now, like again, part of it does sound unrealistic because obviously you need money to make that work. But if there is some sort of fashion in which that is possible, like it would be nice. Like it's an idea. And the thing is, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, this is something that it bothers me to this day. I've had this debate with several people. Mm-hmm. Because we live in such a capitalistic society, I wonder how long that would take. Mm-hmm. To become a realistic possibility,
right? Because in our system right now, it's hard to do things that aren't economically viable. I can completely agree with that in some capacity. And you know, I think that my solution to that right now, partially, is what we're doing by increasing the revenue of the people who seek to do those types of things. You know what I mean? So. By increasing your revenue, eventually you can be to the point to where you can have disposable income to throw it into that motion and that energy that's going to be required to support the people that's going to be able to put those types of things in action. Unless it's you yourself, you know, you could even be, you know, I'm not encouraging you to run for anything right now or whatever, but who knows the apparatuses that we can have. You extrapolate right now what we have, what we put together in such a short amount of time, a collective of people who have 8 million followers put together across all platforms. It might even be more, you know, depending on how we add it all together. But, you know, we've just put that together in a month or two. It's less than a month because your shit happened a couple weeks ago. So it's been like 1 month. This didn't exist a month ago. And now we have a chat with all these people. You extrapolate that 5 years or even a couple years down the line. The amount of, I don't want to say power, but I'm going to say power. The amount of power that we would have amassed for the working class people will be so substantial. You know, I think that's part of it, is we can try to imagine a world in which we have significantly more influence. Because you got to think, Dr. Taylor, you're at 250,000 right now. You keep grinding it out. Eventually, you're going to hit 1 million. 5 years down the line, you think you're going to be at 1 million? There's no way you can't be growing. You know, once you get to a certain size, you start growing. So once we continue to embolden the people saying the things that we want to say, we focus on gearing our platforms to putting out working class solidarity, educational material, all those things, and we increase our revenue, build our collective war chest, build our community network so we have all the things that, you know, we don't need the billionaires. I think, you know, is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Is it going to take a substantial amount of time, effort, energy? Absolutely. Is this something that we will wake up and see tomorrow? No. But I can tell you it is something right now that personally I am working towards every day. And I believe that it's something that you're working towards every day. I believe it's something that everyone that we've put together is working towards every day. And I think it's something that millions, tens of millions of people want to exist. So when you put a bunch of smart people together and you try to do something, we're smart monkeys, all right? We build bridges. We shoot rockets. We can make crazy things happen.
That's the truth.
Crazy
That's the
things.
truth.
How much time do you have left available for me today? Because I'm realizing we're rocking for a little while.
I can do another maybe 15 minutes.
All right, that's cool. I appreciate you, buddy. This is really good. And I also want to make it a point that we don't have to just, communicate like this on the pod or whatever, like we could chat. Like I'm trying to, especially with our community, because everyone is so just compassionate and empathetic on the inside. I want to make space for us to be able to communicate and be, cause we're all very personable. Everybody's nice, and everybody's doing really nice things. A quick plug for Bona, Bona Bones. She's doing the advent calendar right now. She's an animation artist, professor, and she is doing an advent calendar project in which she's laying out all of the animations for Christmas time and stuff like that through the generations. And it's a really great project. It's very informational and educational. It's very nostalgic. And she's a sick life radical. So, that's the type of things. We're the new Progr U, baby. We will mold the minds of the next generations.
Talk to him. That is great to hear.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Especially, you got to think. I mean, you got a PhD in education. We're going to put you to work. I'm not going to lie. We're going to put you to work. We're going to need some educational material for all levels on very basic. We're going to flood the zone with so much content. So much content.
I'm all for it. Actually, that was something, it's funny. When the talk came up, so as it turned out, probably was like a couple of years ago, they came up to a decision where they realized, because with the position I was in originally, they had it, they closed it, they reopened it, and then they reopened it again. Originally, they didn't think they were going to do it because they opened the position originally because of COVID.
Yeah.
Then, once all the COVID money ran out, people were like, okay, what are you going to be able to do this? And then now, they're pulling stuff from different places and whatnot. So they're making it so they can't even do anything, especially in education. They're trying to pull anything from everywhere if it doesn't meet their standards. So when I initially did that, I was deciding on whether or not, okay, if this was something I wanted to do. And what came up is that, what kept coming is that I'm like, I feel like I meet what they need to see better here. And
Yeah.
I had a experience with it. So fun little fact, people don't know this, but we're going to open up that soapbox of how we got here, I guess, again.
Mhm.
So when I first started on TikTok, I was starting my second year of doing that as far as the position I was in.
Mhm.
And so the fun moment I had is that my students at the time, they found me somewhere
Yeah.
along the line. Yeah. So they found me around, I was like at 1,200 or something like that. So the kids, the students, they find you, and then they all like, oh, how'd you get to this much, and blah, blah, blah. And so what ends up happening is, I think I must have went viral like 3 or 4 times, in like a short time span.
Right.
And so they watched me grow in real time.
Yeah.
And so, it went from 1 minute, the kids were like, oh, it's not really much. The next minute, I got, when I'd walk into the school building every morning, you'd have students come in, and they'd be like,
You
oh,
had
can I
this
get a picture
much?
with you?
Yeah.
You like this, you're doing your thing. And I'm like, how do you do it? How do you do it? And so I think it was one day, and I was giving them some advice. I think it came up, it was right before Thanksgiving break that year. I think I was sitting at about, maybe it was just under 5,000 people, and I never forget it because I took a picture of it just so I could remember it.
I love the pictures along the way, because every time you hit those milestones, you're like, man, I can't believe it. This is crazy.
Oh yeah, so so I'm sitting there, and I think that was when I got offered my first brand deal, and I was like, people start offering you commission, stuff like that. So I go read the contract, and students are like, "Are you gonna take it?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, right.
Why? And they were like, "I was like, why?" Because you don't ever take the first thing that you're offered.
Absolutely.
I'm going to bet on myself. Because the thing is, it's starting to go a little bit fast. If it's happened like that once, it'll happen again and again. Trust me. But then that next month, so we say this right before Thanksgiving, so late November, before so before Thanksgiving break, so before Christmas break, so like for winter break, I want to say around the 20th.
Mhm.
I had gone from probably under 5,000 to about 15,000.
Mhm.
I jumped so fast. It probably was about 10,000 like a month.
Mhm.
And so like I was like, see, you bet on yourself if you're smart. Next thing I knew, by the beginning of January, by the end of the year, I was at 20, and then like by the end of January, it's at 30.
Mhm.
So it just kept going.
And so when was this? Was last year or 2022?
I want to say this might have been. So I started out in August of 2023. So
Okay, so you started creating on all platforms in August of 23.
Yeah, so August 23 was when I like started like creating and checking things out. So I had started all the pages by then, but I didn't really look at all the pages. Probably Instagram, I want to say, was like a month before Facebook, maybe 2 months. So I want to say it was July of 25 when I really started posting stuff to there. Like there's stuff there from before that, but it wasn't much. And then once I learned that you could cross post from both to both, because it's like, you know, it gets tedious having to go and take the same video and post it 3 or 4 times over and over and over again, having to write the same thing out. And so I was like, okay, we'll see how this works. Once I figured out, okay, I can just do one and it would post to like 3 different places, I was like, oh yeah, now we're in business. They streamlined it.
Yeah.
So, and then I would start putting stuff on YouTube. And then like, it was also beneficial because I don't know if you remember, every time TikTok would have these moments where, you know, that like, oh, Donnie's talking about, oh, he's going to go, we have a deal done.
Mm-hmm.
And so they think, oh, you know, we have a deal done. We're going to go and get TikTok to do this. And every time somebody would do that, I'd post what my stuff was, where I was going to be and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me personally, I knew that was never going to be a thing. Here's
right.
the thing. If China didn't say nothing, then it didn't happen. Like, if China or ByteDance did not come out and straight up say that they had a deal done, then there's no deal.
Right.
I don't care. I'm at the point where I don't really care what he says because we already know that he lies about a lot. So
every day.
Oh yeah, you take what he says with a grain of salt, and if you ain't hear nothing from the other side, then ain't nothing happening yet. So, and they didn't say nothing. So if they didn't say nothing, nothing's going on. So I would just, as a precaution, you know, leave. Okay, here's my stuff. Here's where you can find me. Blah blah blah. And then there was that massive. I don't know if you were there for this because you know this is like maybe I forgot what time. I think it was last year around this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it was like it's the beginning of this year when they had the initial TikTok deal thing, where everybody just flipped over to Xiaohong Shu.
Oh yeah, no, I did not go to the Chinese apps. I kind of drew the line there.
Yeah, that was I had a couple. So I had a couple really, I guess a couple funny like content, like just content related things at the time.
Yeah.
How everybody shifted over all at once. So it was funny how everybody shifted over. They actually, and the thing is, it was really accommodating, and it was an eye opener because you know people didn't see, I guess. And I'm tangenting off. Don't mind me.
It's fine. It's fine, bro. This your platform too.
Okay, so yeah, at the time, you know, I guess a lot of people had this idea of how things were, and now that when they realized like them going over to that platform and seeing how things actually were, I think it tipped some people over here, like, you know, higher ups over here off because they're like, oh, now we can't BS them about how China actually is.
Right.
Because that's what before that, a lot of people had this idea. They go over there and they find out, yeah, it's not what you think.
Right.
It's none of that. Yeah, they're lying to you over there. And so now you got all these people. I don't know how many people still have that thing. I still have mine.
I'm not gonna lie, I regret not doing it because it just would have made good content. And it's like even right now, I could just be like, "Oh, we on Changchouji," you know, like, like it just makes good content. Like, next time we have a mass exodus, because I know we're gonna have another one. Probably whenever the TikTok thing is finalized or whatever, or you know, it's gonna happen from some platform. Some new platform is gonna be hot. That's why I made it a point to get on freaking Substack. Are you on Substack, Dr. Taylor?
I am. Yes,
okay,
I am.
Absolutely.
So my handle is the same across all platforms.
Okay.
I made sure of that. So it's Dr. Studios, no matter which platform you're on.
Okay. In
some form or fashion, I know Blue Sky has a weird way of kind of putting it there, but it's still the same.
If you,
So
I don't know if you have a website yet, but if you get a website, you can link it to your Blue Sky, and that way it somewhat simplifies it.
that is interesting and good to know. I did
Yes,
not know that.
absolutely.
Okay, so, that is good. Okay, but yeah, I do have a Substack. Actually, that's how I found out about the whatchamacallit business, the Curtis Yarvin business, and how he was planning to
Yes.
leave the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't get me.
Lord Yarvin. Hey, look, if I ever get on here and tell y'all to start calling me Lord Propaganda or something like that, like we've gone off the deep end. We're in a cult. We've gone way too far. Way too far. Bring me back. All right.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with so many people, and the thing is, one thing I've tried to do with as many people as I have with platforms that I have is I've tried to, special because everybody they always want somebody to blame. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
I know you guys want to blame this one guy, and I get that, but just understand this is literally not his. This is not his brainchild. He's just doing what he's doing. What
Yeah.
he's doing was what he's told to do.
He's probably just some guy who wrote some stuff, honestly, when it comes down to it. And when he's not like some master, like people want there to be some mastermind. There want to be some secret cabal, but like it's not. We know who the people are.
It's a gaggle of people.
Yeah, it's the billionaires. We see them. It's them, the boards, the shareholders. We see who it is. Blackstreet.
It's not just one person. Everybody wants one person to blame, just to go and kind of, and be that example for that. And I guess not that. There's a lot.
And that actually goes why I'm the freaking CEO of Antifa Online, is because people want one person to blame, and so just blame me. Just blame me. If I'm the reason that America is the way it is, just blame me. Let's get it over with. Let's start working on solutions. All right. If I'm gonna be the CEO, I'm working on solutions. I'm working on big picture. Let's get some motion. Let's do it.
Yeah, I respect that. The thing is that somebody has to own it, and the thing is,
yes, not everybody wants to. Not everybody wants to. And then that's the thing. All right, some people, because look, huge shout out to all my grannies on Facebook, because a lot of grannies are owning it. They're owning it in the comments. They're saying that they're the CEO of Antifa. Huge shout out to y'all, because y'all do inspire me. I've seen a huge uptick in my 55 plus, not only engagement, but following. So huge shout out to y'all. But also, someone has to own it in the sense that someone actually has to play the part, not just a role, but someone actually has to do the things that a CEO of Antifa would do, the nefarious, dirty things that are going to bring communism to America. Somebody actually has to create 100 million Marxists, so, blame America, blame the billionaires. They educated me. They educated a black man a little too much, and now I'm dangerous. I done learned how to read and write. Now I'm dangerous.
Now we're a problem.
That's the thing about it. Regardless, it's just a new label, because an educated black man was always dangerous in America. They called us, free Negro. They called us whatever. But now it's Antifa. Now we're just Antifa. They were always going to come for me, no matter what. All right, whether it was this administration, that administration, they were always going to come for brown bodies.
That's what I had to explain to people. Everybody's like, "Why are you so hell bent on doing what you're doing right now?" I'm like, because it was going to happen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to lose at this point, because if I don't fight, then the alternative is I think y'all get it.
I mean, I have some things to lose. I'm not gonna lie. I got a wife and 2 kids, but when it comes, like, this administration is so incompetent. I mean, I'm gonna what would I spend time in jail for? For making content, for connecting content creators, for organizing people be fed and kids have toys for Christmas. I ain't Santa Claus, but shit, I got the red tie on, but shit,
Like, the thing is, we're backed into a corner now where it's not that I guess we have nothing to lose, but at the same time, the alternative is we're going to end up in a worse spot anyway. So it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, and that's the exact metaphor. We are backed into a corner, especially with this administration coming after political opponents, especially with them signing executive orders labeling us a domestic tea organization and trying to whip up some BS with a German organization to get a foreign organization so that they can have more expanded powers. Well, guess what, Mr. Kash Patel? If you're listening right now, Mr. Kash Patel, I got something you could listen to, but you might not want to listen to it. I'm just saying, you might not want to hear it. Mr. Judge, if this is ever played in front of the jury, looking at you right now, shout out. I'm a working class person just like you. Look, I do these little cuts because if they're hauling me in, somebody has to watch this. Somebody's going to be making this case and watch this and be like, what the hell are we doing? And if this doesn't make it in, my defense attorney's going to see it. It's going to be exhibit freaking A. They're going to be like, dude, you mean to tell me that a dude getting online saying that we need to be compassionate, empathetic, have solidarity, and show no mercy for our enemies, that's that he's hurting people? No, come on. That's crazy.
Real. Like, it doesn't make sense. And the thing is, they try it so hard to make it seem like correct. I'm like, they're like, what you're saying doesn't even make sense. You're trying to make it seem like we're the bad guys for trying to make sure everybody's good.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense?
So because we want everybody to get a plate before we start letting other people get second plates. We want everyone to get a house before we let landlords get theirs. We want other people to be able to go to the hospital and stuff like that before we let people get mega yachts. I mean, come on, it's simple math. We don't have to let people be exuberantly rich, massively rich. We don't have to let them just leech off of us because there's nothing to gain. We're not getting anything on the other side. There's no improvements. They're not creating jobs. They're not building housing because all of those things would still exist. Whenever you look at some of the best innovations in history, those weren't some one individual who just did this one thing. Like Thomas Edison, we think of Thomas, he had 1,000 patents, all this thing. All the guy was doing was taking a collection of information that was present to him at the time and just boop, boop, boop. Now, was that, prolific or whatever? Sure, because not as many people had the ability or the access to be able to do those things, whatever. He had substantial and different resources at the time. When we look at his story, it was just, a little bit different. Regardless, it's not built on some rugged individual, some brilliant entrepreneur, some whatever that just comes up with something out of the blue or makes something out of the blue. No, everything that these billionaires are profiting off of is a collection of everything that has come before, and especially in terms of what they're putting in their bank accounts, what they're putting in their equity, what they're putting in their yachts. That's literally our life, our soul, our whatever you want to call it, our blood, sweat, tears, our children in some capacities, depending on which thing is making that money. They're stripping us bare. They're stripping us down worse than they're treating these immigrants in these processing facilities, and it's just all of it. The whole immigration thing, it's an entire racket. Not only are they brutalizing brown bodies and criminally treating these people, illegally treating these people like criminals for nothing, for something equivalent to a traffic violation. That's why I say, and it hurts so many MAGA feelings, that we need to start telling MAGA that, they're going to be treated like the immigrants. So maybe they could think about it. They could think, oh gosh, you can't treat me like that. I'm an American citizen. No, we're going to treat you just like that. If that's how you treat people, that means that's how you want to be treated. At least that's what Jesus said. That's what the Bible said. That's what someone said. And so that's how you're treating people. I don't, what am I supposed to do? Because if I give you compassion, if I give you empathy, if I give you solidarity, if I give you every ounce of understanding that I can give you, and you still choose to be a belligerent against me, then, it is what it is. I have no mercy for you. Dr. Taylor probably all, but it's okay. I think that we are likely going to be coming to a conclusion for this podcast right now. Dr. Taylor, I was just saying that we're going to go ahead and probably wrap the pod because I'm getting hungry. I need to go eat. So if you want to, just do any outro or, just any plug for your platforms or, anything that you want to say over your, your message on the way out.
All right, you guys, if you want to find me, it's Dr. Studios. It's all around. DOC, DRU Studios. You guys can spell it out. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. Thank you for having me. Honestly, it's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you, buddy. We'll be in touch. With that, team, we are going to we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode. We don't necessarily need to get into any headlines or anything like that. I mean, there's all kinds of other platforms that is going to make that news available to you probably better than I will at the very end of this podcast. That would be a little bit insulting. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. So, with that, everyone, your CEO is signing off. Please stay safe, stay subversive.